Hey there movie lovers, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're heading to infinity and beyond with the film that changed animation forever, Toy Story. As Pixar's first feature film, it didn't just introduce us to Woody, Buzz and a bedroom full of unforgettable toys. It also revolutionised filmmaking and launched one of the most beloved franchises in cinema history. But just how much do you know about what went on behind the scenes? So grab your favourite toy and let's play our way through 20 things you never knew about Toy Story. Long before Woody and Buzz existed, the foundations of Toy Story were being laid by George Lucas's empire. Lucasfilm's computer graphics division, the Graphics Group, created the first computer animated sequence in a feature film for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan in 1982. By 1985, the team had also produced the first fully CGI character in a feature film, the stained glass knight in Young Sherlock Holmes. The graphics group split from Lucas, and after leaving Apple, Steve Jobs bought into the group, renamed it Pixar Animation Studios, and set out to create the world's first fully computer animated feature film. Disney then partnered with Pixar, signing a deal to produce 3 CGI animated films. At the time, Pixar was struggling financially and eagerly accepted, immediately pitching Toy Story as the first project. Disney initially set Toy Story's budget at about $17 million, but after Pixar completed a 30-second test animation, it became clear the project would cost far more. Steve Jobs and Pixar co-founder Ed Catmull convinced Disney to raise the budget to $30 million, giving the team the resources needed to bring their ambitious vision to life. In the early 1990s, artistic talent and computer expertise rarely went together. Toy Story's writer, producer and director John Lasseter later explained that it was almost impossible to find animators who also knew how to use computer animation software. So Pixar recruited artists from traditional hand-drawn and stop-motion animation and trained them from scratch. The learning curve was enormous, but Lasseter refused to lower his standards. The team learned as they worked, ultimately creating a film that transformed the animation industry. Woody wasn't always meant to be a cowboy. Early versions of the character were based on a ventriloquist dummy. But Disney executives felt audiences associated dummies with horror films rather than family entertainment. They suggested changing him, leading Pixar to reinvent Woody as the cowboy fans know today. Even after Woody became a cowboy, his appearance continued to evolve. Early designs still reflected his ventriloquist dummy origins, including a separate moving mouth. In Toy Story's earliest drafts, Woody was also far less likable, bullying Slinky Dog and deliberately knocking Buzz out of Andy's bedroom window into Sid's garden. Co-writer Andrew Stanton later explained that the team originally made Woody selfish so his eventual transformation would feel more meaningful. However, they soon realised audiences would struggle to connect with such an unpleasant lead, so Woody was rewritten as a kind-hearted, well-meaning leader instead. John Lasseter revealed that Tom Hanks was always his first choice to voice Woody, but persuading one of Hollywood's biggest stars to make his animation debut wasn't easy. Unsure whether voice acting would suit him, Hanks needed convincing. So Lasseter had a short proof of concept animation created, using Woody synced to dialogue from Hanks's performance in Turner and Hooch, including the memorable "Don't Eat the Car" scene. It did the trick and Hanks signed on. Buzz Lightyear began life as Tinny, the star of Pixar's Oscar-winning short Tin Toy. As development continued, the team decided the toy felt outdated, transforming him into a space-themed action figure. Also, Buzz Lightyear wasn't always called Buzz Lightyear. He was first named Lunar Larry, before briefly becoming Tempest from Morph. neither name quite captured the character, so the team kept searching until they settled on Buzz Lightyear, a tribute to Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin. Once they landed on the name, everyone knew they had found the perfect fit. Pixar production designer Bob Pawley was responsible for bringing Buzz Lightyear to life. He took inspiration from classic action figures such as G.I. Joe and Major Matt Mason, although Buzz looked very different in his earliest designs. He originally wore a red spacesuit and was considerably smaller than Woody. Animation voice actors usually record their dialogue separately, performing with nothing more than a script and a microphone. However, because neither Tom Hanks nor Tim Allen had previously worked in animation, they decided to record many of their scenes together. This allowed them to play off each other naturally and build the chemistry between Woody and Buzz in real time. Footage from the recording sessions shows the pair effortlessly bouncing off one another, even without the animation. That decision paid off, helping to create one of the most memorable partnerships in animated film history. Tim Allen wasn't Pixar's first choice to voice Buzz Lightyear. Billy Crystal was initially offered the role, but turned it down, later calling it the biggest regret of his career. That decision later allowed him to voice Mike Wazowski in Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. Pixar had also hoped at one point to cast Paul Newman as Woody and Jim Carrey as Buzz, to reflect the film's theme of old Hollywood giving way to the new. Newman eventually joined Pixar years later as the voice of Doc Hudson in Cars, one of his final film roles. Meanwhile, Wallace Shawn voiced Rex after Rick Moranis was considered for the role, while Jim Varney played Slinky Dog, a part originally envisioned for John Cleese. John Ratzenberger, best known then as Cliff from Cheers, voiced Ham. He went on to appear in every Pixar film for the next 25 years, until the streak ended with Soul in 2020. Sid Phillips, the toy-torturing neighbour whose garden is filled with broken playthings, was named after Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious. He was voiced by 13-year-old Eric Von Detten, who was best known at the time for playing Nicholas Alamain in the long-running American soap opera Days of Our Lives. Sid's house is packed with references to classic horror films. When John Lasseter and his team designed Sid's Frankenstein-like mutant toys, they drew inspiration from Todd Browning's pre-code horror film Freaks from 1932, particularly the unsettling way the reconstructed toys crawl across the floor. To reinforce that Sid's home is a house of horrors, the upstairs landing features the same distinctive hexagonal carpet pattern seen in the Overlook Hotel in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining from 1980. There are other hidden references throughout Sid's scenes as well. The toolbox Buzz pushes, which later lands on Woody, is branded Binford, the fictional tool company from Tim Allen's sitcom Home Improvement. During Buzz's attempted rescue, a can labelled Dr. Catmull's root beer can also be spotted, a tribute to Pixar co-founder Ed Catmull. Andy's father is never seen or even mentioned in Toy Story. According to co-writer Andrew Stanton, creating another adult human character would have simply been too expensive and time-consuming. The same technical limitations explain why most human characters have short hair, with Andy's mum wearing hers in a ponytail to avoid the complexity of animating flowing hair. During the birthday party scene viewed through Sarge's binoculars, many of the children also look remarkably similar to Andy. That's because Pixar reused the same digital model for every child, altering only the hair colour and skin tone to save both time and money. After months of work, Pixar presented the first cut of Toy Story to Disney in November 1993. The screening went so badly it became known within the studio as Black Friday. Disney executives declared the film unwatchable, criticised Woody for being sarcastic and unlikable, and shut production down completely. Footage of this early version has since surfaced, making Disney's concern easier to understand. Woody treated the other toys with open hostility, and you can see him deliberately pushing Buzz out of the bedroom window. John Lasseter pleaded for the chance to rewrite the film before Disney made a final decision. Disney agreed, but only if Pixar covered the cost. Toy Story has a large number of credited writers, mainly because of the disastrous Black Friday screening. The original screenplay was written by Andrew Stanton from a story by Stanton himself, John Lasseter, Pete Docter and Joe Ranft. After Disney halted production, Pixar brought in experienced screenwriters Joel Cohen and Alex Sokolow to reshape the script. They went on to write around 6 drafts of Toy Story, helping steer the film towards its final form. They also created Buzz Lightyear's famous catchphrase, "To Infinity and Beyond," inspired by the chapter title, Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite, from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. Even then, Pixar felt some of their ideas were too bleak. In one draft, after learning he isn't a real space ranger, Buzz throws himself from the banister in an attempt to end his life rather than simply testing whether he can fly. When Joss Whedon joined the project to rewrite the script, he envisioned Barbie playing a major role in the film's climax. In his version, as Woody and Buzz chased the moving van, Barbie would have driven her Corvette off the back of the truck and rescued them from Sid's bull terrier, Scud. Whedon based the scene on Sarah Connor's action hero role in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Mattel, though, rejected the idea because the company didn't want Barbie to have a defined personality. As a result, the sequence was rewritten with RC stepping in to save the day instead, creating the memorable finale scene in the finished film. Barbie would, however, go on to appear in future Toy Story films. Andy's bedroom is filled with subtle nods to Pixar's own history. If you look closely at the bookshelf behind Woody during his opening speech to the toys, you'll spot books titled Tin Toy, Knick Knack and Red's Dream, all named after animated shorts Pixar produced during the 1980s. Another book, Smurl, Smurl, Twist and Twirl, is a tribute to Pixar modeler Elliot Smurl. Also, later in the film, the Pizza Planet delivery driver asks for directions to West Cutting Boulevard, which was the real address of Pixar's headquarters in Richmond, California at the time. The Green Army men are led by Sarge, a character inspired by Gunnery Sergeant Hartman from Full Metal Jacket. John Lasseter even cast R. Lee Ermey in the role, although his dialogue was considerably toned down compared with his unforgettable performance in Stanley Kubrick's film. Animating the soldiers proved to be an unexpected challenge because their feet were moulded to plastic bases. To recreate their distinctive movement, Pixar's animators nailed a pair of shoes to a wooden plank and walked around the studio wearing them, studying the stiff hopping motion. One of Toy Story's funniest visual jokes happened completely by accident. When Woody opens Buzz's helmet, Buzz begins gasping for air, convinced he's suffocating in an alien atmosphere. The original plan was for Woody to panic, fearing Buzz was actually dying. During an early animation test, however, Woody's reaction hadn't yet been completed, leaving him standing perfectly still while Buzz struggled beside him. John Lasseter found the deadpan response far funnier than the original idea and instructed the animators to leave it exactly as it was. To make Andy's bedroom feel authentic, Pixar filled it with recognizable toys and games from real manufacturers. None of the companies paid for the exposure. Pixar simply asked permission to use their products, and they happily agreed. The only toys created specifically for the film were the Troikas, a set of nesting eggs inspired by the Russian nesting dolls. Although the film was always known internally as Toy Story, editor Lee Unkrich later revealed that around 200 alternative titles were considered. Among them were The Cowboy and the Spaceman, To Infinity and Beyond, Made in Taiwan, Bring Me the Arm of Buzz Lightyear, and the tongue-in-cheek Toys in the Hood. Made on a budget of $30 million, Toy Story went on to gross nearly $400 million worldwide, becoming the highest grossing film of 1995. At the Academy Awards, the film could not compete for Best Animated Feature because the category had not yet been created. Instead, John Lasseter received a Special Achievement Academy Award, while the film earned 3 Oscar nominations. Best Original Score for Randy Newman, Best Original Song for You've Got a Friend in Me, and Best Original Screenplay for Joss Whedon, Andrew Stanton, Joel Cohen and Alex Sokolow. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Toy Story. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.